Hey folks, how are you? Today's video is pretty much a follow-on from a previous video which I did called Free Fonts versus Paid Fonts. Since I released that video, I've had quite a few people contact me and the questions have all been very similar. And so what I thought I would do is I would do this follow-up video which answered those questions. And the questions are based around glyphs and the quality of the fonts. One of the first things that I want to do though is I want to just quickly run through with you what you should be looking for when you're choosing to look for a free font. Now, one of the most common sites that people use is Dafont.com, and so I thought I would use that as an example. So let's say you're on the Dafont website and you're looking for, let's say we're looking for a serif font. So you'd click on the serif selection. Now, here's the important bit. What you need to do is you need to click on the point that says More Options. And under More Options, you want to choose 100% free, which will automatically also tick public domain. Anything else is not for commercial use. So by having these selected and then clicking the Submit button, Dafont will only show you fonts which you can use in your commercial projects. That's the important thing. So that's just covering that very quick point there, in that you should be downloading only ones which allow you to use the fonts for commercial use. If you're unsure, drop the font creator a message. Most of them will happily answer you quite quickly and let you know what the deal is. Okay, so let's go back to Illustrator and look at some fonts. So on this top line here, I've got two free fonts, which I got from Dafont.com. And down here, I have two paid for fonts. So one of the first questions that I've been asked is, what did I mean exactly about the quality of the fonts being different? Well, what I meant was it's in the build, how the letters have been put together and made by the font creator. Now, when you go onto somewhere like Dafont, you're going to be choosing fonts which are around about this size. I've got medium set here. I'm just going to change that to large, and that will show you the fonts in quite a large scale. But if you're going to be using the fonts, let's say, as part of a logo design, there's a chance that you may need to recreate that logo as signage for a shop or a large billboard. So the lettering is going to appear much larger than you would normally see it, say, for instance, on a web page or as text inside a brochure or a magazine. So one of the things that you need to check when you are using a free font and you're going to potentially be using it for very large scale stuff is you want to install the font and then zoom in on areas of that font. So if we, for example, zoom in on this letter P on the script font here, as I zoom in, there's little sections of it. If I close in on this bit here, you can see that there. That should not be like that. That should be a lot cleaner. That line should go straight across. Should just follow the sweep there. There's a little kink here. Looks like there's another kink here. Now, at really small sizes, or at even half decent sizes, you can't see those little marks and bumps and lumps. If you zoom in on something like this one, this paid for font, and we take a close look at the curves and the sweeps, you can see how much more smooth everything is. The attention to detail is much, much higher than it is on the free font. So you might be thinking, well, yeah, that's a script font, so you've got a lot more kind of areas that interact and stuff. But the same can be said for sans serif fonts as well. Even just looking at them here, this is let me just check. This is Century Gothic here on the bottom, and this top one is called Geosans Light. They're very similar, But even just by eyeballing here, I can see that the S here, it just doesn't flow incredibly smoothly. It looks like there are some kinks in it. The R as well, so if you look at the R here, and then the R here is much smoother on Century Gothic than the one on Geosans. And again, if we zoom in, so if I zoom in on this R, and we look at the top of the R, you can see here it really isn't smooth at all. It's lumpy and bumpy, there's no smooth curve to that. And even worse, if we look at the dot on the I, you know, that should be a circle. You know, it should be like that. But it isn't, it's all lumpy and bumpy. Now you imagine if you have this on the side of a vehicle, like a van, or you had it on a large billboard, that's going to look pretty bad. You know, look at that there, it's just really, really bad. So you definitely want to make sure that when you're choosing the fonts, you do zoom in. We'll just do a quick zoom in on Century Gothic, and we can see here, you know, that the curve's really smooth on that R, and that is a really, really clean dot there on the I. Everything is just so much cleaner. So that's the first point that I wanted to talk about, and that's, you know, the difference in the quality and the build. The second point that I wanted to talk about was the number of glyphs that you can get. And if I click on and highlight this font here, which is called Tahu, by the way, and open up the Glyphs panel in Illustrator, you can see here all of the glyphs, all of the different characters and things that you can get with this font. Now that's not a bad selection, you know, there's quite a lot there. You've got the full alphabet, capital, uppercase and lowercase, and, you know, a few accents and things like that. But compare that to this font here, which is Hummingbird. Now, I can now scroll through all of the different glyphs for this font. Hummingbird has an amazing number. You can also go into different style sets, so you can narrow it down by style sets. You've got alternates to things, so what we can do is we can select the S, and the S has got different things that you can change it to. Some of them I probably would never ever use, but just little accents and little things that can make, you know, just make a big difference to the word. Same with the R. You can have different styles of R, so it's more scripted. Different styles of P, T. You can open this up and kind of, you know, show you all that. So you've got this huge control over how you can change the letters, you know, with all of the glyphs. So go back to the entire font. You know, it's just amazing. Then again, if you go to the Geosans Lite, again, quite a few glyphs here for this font. Then if we go to Century Gothic, so much more again. We've even got some shapes and circles, which are, you know, shapes and triangles and things which are part of that font. These are two of the things which were questioned after my previous video, and I hope that by running through these visually, you can now get a better understanding of the differences that can apply between free fonts and paid for fonts. Now, just to clarify, some free fonts will have lots of glyphs, and some paid for fonts will have less. The thing is, you really need to check whether it's paid or whether it's a free font, which, you know, how many glyphs it has and, you know, the quality of the build. But in general, you will find that paid for fonts have a much better design, and they are much cleaner, and they will have more glyphs to them than compared to free fonts. Okay, so I hope you found that helpful today, folks. If you have, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure once you are subscribed, you click that little bell icon, and you'll be notified whenever I release a new video. So, until I see you next time, stay creative, folks.